Well, g'day and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want to share with you the one change I made that transformed my wildlife photography. It was kind of the missing ingredient. When I started, and I know when many of you start, we chase tight portraits. That is, the bird's large in the frame, the background's completely out of focus, it's nice and sharp, there's lots of feather details. They dominate social media, and there's nothing wrong with these styles of shots. I've taken plenty like that. However, over time, I started to get a little bit bored of those images and I wanted something more. I wanted my images to tell a story. I wanted them to be unique. I wanted them to be different. And how did I do that? Well, it all started when I got this RF 100-500 lens. I've been using a 500 prime for years, and all I was getting were the same sorts of shots, a parrot on a stick with a clean background, etc. And I enjoy that style of photography, but I knew there was more. And this lens unlocked that for me. What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is when I go out into the field now, as well as getting tight portraits, I'm always thinking, Duade, are you including habitat? Are you giving space to the subject? Are you zooming out and making it wider? Because that habitat, that background, that helps tell a story. It gives the subject some context. It lets us know where it is. If we can capture some behavior in that environment, all these elements come together to create an absolutely cracking photo. And so today I'm going to go through how do you capture that type of photo? What do they look like? What are the challenges? I'm going to help you to capture these types of images. All right, let's start with a couple of examples. This first shot, a New Holland honeyeater, this is what I would say is a tight portrait. The bird is the focus, it's nice and sharp, it's got plenty of detail, the background is completely out of focus, and it's kind of a bird on a perch. As a portrait, it's completely fine, and it shows that species well. However, when we compare that to this shot of the exact same species, this is what I'm talking about when we include some more habitat. The bird's feeding, we've got some nice behavior, we've got the flowers, and we've got depth in the background. You can see we've got some out of focus flowers there. And that scene to me better tells the story of this bird feeding. And they're just two different types of images. I'm not here to tell you which one to capture, but for me, I enjoy the diversity now. I've been able to capture multiple types of different images. So I don't overlook this, whereas 10 years ago, I wouldn't have captured this image because I would have said it's too busy. But now I love this image. I guess for me, when I'm in the field and I'm creating a composition, I'm thinking, does that habitat improve the photo? By zooming out, does it make it better? If it distracts from the image, then I'll crop in. And this comes with time, but I've got a few examples to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. I was driving home, I spotted a cockatoo on a dead branch. Now, my instincts are to go tight to begin with, and it's hard for me to shake that, but I took this photo at 800 millimeters. I like the perch, I like the background, the bird is a beautiful bird, but overall it's just okay. Like there's nothing amazing about it, there's no behavior, we don't have the crest up. It's just what I'd say is a typical portrait. But then I thought, it's actually quite a nice setting. Like I can see the grass and the trees behind. So I zoomed out to include more of the habitat, and I believe this photo is much stronger because of that. The habitat actually improves the image because the viewer can go, okay, I get a sense of where this bird is. It's in Australia, it's dry, we've got the dead branch, the grass. I think it just helps tell a story. And that's what I'm trying to convey in images. It's a story. It's something that'll hold the viewer's gaze. It's something that's unique and different. And I think including habitat definitely helps me to achieve that. And if you follow this channel, you know I go on and on about changing our position, changing our composition, because you will capture vastly different images. And I've got 3 examples of an Australian magpie just to demonstrate this. And the first image was when I was in my tight portrait phase with my big 500mm prime lens. And look, the bird looks fantastic. It's extremely sharp, got good eye contact, the light's great, the background's out of focus, it isolates that subject, and it's what I would call like a field guide shot. It's like this perfect portrait of that species, but it doesn't really tell us too much about where that bird lives. You've got an idea because of the dead branch that it's on, but what would it look like if we actually included more habitat? These birds are often in eucalypts and that sort of thing, and so with the 100-500, I was able to capture this shot of the magpie in a eucalypt tree, and I just love how it's framed. Like it's a little bit wider, we've got a bit more space. The viewer can see that and say, okay, we've got a beautiful tree. The background is somewhat out of focus, but we can still tell that that's more eucalypts. And for me, this is a really pleasing image, and I prefer that over the first one. And then we can even go wider and sort of what I would call a landscape photo that has a bird or a subject in it. And in this photo, the bird's absolutely tiny, but I like this because it reminds me of where I am. I was in Australia. It's dry. We've got some trees, we've got the sky. Overall, to me, this is just like an Australian photo, and that bird sits in that habitat. So I enjoyed taking that photo. So those are three distinctly different photos of the same species. And I think that's amazing that we have that ability to do that. And it improves us as photographers to actually try and capture different types of images. I actually have quite a bit of regret, I guess, that I spent so many years capturing type portraits that I've probably missed out on so many more habitat shots. And that's a bit of a bummer. And I don't want you to spend 14 years in the field just getting type portraits and then think, oh gee, I probably should have gone a bit wider. So if you're just starting out, or you're just taking type portraits, I highly encourage you on your next trip or your next outing, don't forget about those wider habitat shots. I think what might be helpful is if I just share a little bit of in-the-field footage of me going through the realization in real time about zooming out and including more habitat. I recently went out with a friend, Derek, looking for some yellow-footed antechinus. We had no success on that front, unfortunately, but as we were walking down a path, Derek noticed a woolly wagtail nest and there was no bird on it. And strangely, it was right next to the path in some, not far off the ground, in some dead branches. So I looked at it and then we spotted the woolly wagtail bird and it came down and it sat on the nest and it just looked at us and I was standing there. And I don't normally photograph nests, but sometimes birds nest in some very strange places, such as outside your bedroom window. And this bird is one of the friendliest and most common birds in Australia, and it's chose to nest right next to a public path. So I thought I might take some photos just to capture that moment. But before I show you the footage, I do want to just remind everybody that extreme care should be given if you ever photograph a nest. We do not want to disturb the bird. No photo is worth that. This is just a rare opportunity where I had no fear of disturbing that bird because it's of where it's chosen to nest. It's got people walking past every day. It clearly does not care about people. I decided to take a few shots and let's jump into the field and see how that went. We're still on the path, but we can see the woolly wagtail's made a nest. I don't know, it's very exposed. I'm not sure why it's chosen this spot. It's very close to the ground, but from where I'm standing, I'll show you, I'm probably a little bit too high here. So just have a look amongst all those branches and see if you can see the nest of the woolly wagtail. It's pretty well camouflaged, I must admit. She's coming down. There she is. See, this is where having the 200-800 is very, very helpful because I'm probably 15 meters maybe. She's not put off by us. She's quite happy there. Again, I don't know why she's nested so close to the ground. You think a fox or anything could come across and take that, but what I'm thinking at the moment is when I'm looking at this photo, it's not too bad, but my angle's not quite right because I'm shooting down and I'm often talking about getting eye level with the subject. So what I need to do is just lower myself and see if I can improve the angle by getting lower. There she is. Getting some shots of her. All right, we'll just get some video. I've just reminded myself I need to go wider sometimes. I've just gone a bit wider for video and I don't actually mind that, so I might just switch to photo and get one a little bit wider. All right, so interestingly, I've zoomed out and I've tried to engage wide area autofocus and it's struggling to find the bird. Can you see that? It's just can't seem to locate the bird. That's why I have the spot autofocus on my second back button and I'm focusing on the bird and I can take some photos. A little bit wider. We'll even go wider. All right, we'll leave the bird be. She's happy there. So this is a learning curve for me. Even though I thought getting low and getting eye level with the bird would improve the image, this is probably the weaker image in my opinion. Yes, the bird is bigger. We do have that sort of out of focus grass in the background, but I think we lose the context in this image. Like, the bird is good, but I don't know, it just doesn't quite work for me. There's just something missing, and I think it's the habitat that is missing. And I did go a little bit wider there because I actually much prefer this image. Even though it's busy and chaotic, that is the environment that this bird has chosen to nest in for whatever reason. And I think it tells a story. We can see the grass, we can see all the branches, and the bird does sit well in that frame. And I like that image. So I think in that scenario you saw, we got 3 different photos, very short amount of time. I'd love to hear in the comments, which of those 3 do you prefer and why? And it just highlights exactly what I'm talking about in this video, that we should always try to zoom out to see if there's a better composition. But I think it's also important where I show you zooming out doesn't always work. And after that session, I'm driving home and I see a fairy wren in a field with some dead vegetation. I thought that might be interesting to see the different contrasts. So I've stopped the car, I've got the camera, I've focused on the bird, and this is the resulting shot. And it's okay, we definitely have that little bit of contrast, but for me, potentially something's missing, like there's just not enough interest in the background, and that's possibly because the bird's just too small in the frame. If we compare that to another image I took of a fairy wren, I much prefer this image because that burnt log adds a lot of interest. The viewer's thinking, was there a fire there? The bird looks good with the pose. We can see the scale of the bird, it's quite small. We've got the grass in the background, and the contrast in colors just make for a much more pleasing and interesting image. And I think that just highlights what I mentioned earlier about the habitat actually supporting the image and adding elements and making it interesting. And if I'm being completely honest, it's almost a subconscious thing when I'm in the field, when I'm looking at compositions. Perhaps just with enough time, you start to recognize what makes a good photo and what doesn't, and it's kind of hard to explain it, but with time you will start to see things that you like or notice things and trying to include those in your photos. So it's all about developing a style that you like and then just going down that rabbit hole and continually improving your photos. Fundamentally, what I'm trying to share is that wildlife photography is made up of multiple different genres and lots of different types of shots, and it's important that we try each one or to incorporate them to figure out what gels with us, what do we like. For me, it was type portraits, but now I love my habitat shots. And if I haven't tried habitat shots because of this lens, I would have never have known what I was missing. So we really do need to challenge ourselves and try different things: backlight, side light, bad weather, wide lenses, short lenses, just try all these different things, because one thing might click for you and then you'll find out that you really, really do love those styles of photos. And if I reflect now on the images that I like, I definitely do prefer your more habitat or bird and habitat shots. And if I have a look at the recent winners of the 2025 Birdlife photo competition, it was the bird and habitat shots that left the biggest mark on me. Those were the images that I really did like. And I want to just share a few with you and see what you think. The first image was the winner of that category, and it was of a cassowary in a rainforest. And I love this image. It's kind of got all the right elements I'm talking about. The subject's fantastic. They've got a really nice low angle. We've got the river. We've got those bushes coming in behind the rainforest. And the viewer can just sense, it's almost prehistoric in a way, like it almost a throwback to this crazy looking bird in its habitat. There's no humans around, and we could imagine being there ourselves. And that image was taken by Jake Wilton with a 70mm lens. Amazing image, Jake. That's the type of image I would love to capture if I got up there. Now, Jake clearly has a wonderful eye for composition in these types of photos, because he also got another shot shortlisted, and it was of this lyrebird in the rainforest again. And this is just exquisite. Like, that rainforest is beautiful in itself, but to get the bird walking through that habitat is just, magic. I love it. Well done, Jake. Really, really good inspiration for all of us. And the final image is extraordinary, to be honest. It was this jabiru captured by Tim Henry in the Northern Territory. To be there when that bird landed on top of those, I don't know how often that happens, but to get that beautiful scenery and then have the bird on top, it's kind of our dream, isn't it, as photographers, to capture something like that. And maybe that's why these landscape type shots are just so interesting, because it's hard. It's hard to get all those elements to come together. And when they do, they just stand out. So let's have a look at exactly how we capture these types of images. The first thing is, ideally you want to have a zoom lens, something like this 100 to 500, the 200 to 800, maybe even to 70 to 200. Something that lets you just go a little bit wider. Zooms let you change your composition on the fly and just play around, just experiment with different focal lengths and see how that impacts your photo. You can definitely use a prime, but when using a prime, you really have to start wide first before you close the gap, because it's very difficult once you get close to the subject to then zoom out and include more habitat. So you can definitely do it. I mentioned it earlier, but you have to consider, does the habitat improve the image? And if we have a look at my winners from 2024 in my bird and habitat category, this image by Ville is a shining example of that. It's the flowers, the habitat, and the light that make this image. Like, the bird plays a part only to give us a sense of scale, but it's that habitat which is the star of the photo. So we always have to be thinking about that. Does the image tell the viewer where that bird lives? What does its habitat look like? And I've shared this image numerous times, but this image of American bison by Caden is just exceptional because we've got that rolling landscape, we've got the bison walking through it. The viewer can just get lost in that image, and that is the key, is to sort of get lost in it and imagine yourself. So, key thing, does the habitat tell us where that subject lives? The third thing is, does the subject and the habitat come together to create a unique and interesting image? And if we have a look at last year's winner, is this yellow-billed oxpecker by Juliana. This ticks all the boxes because we've got the habitat, which is the ox. We've got the bird. The position of the bird on the ox works so well together. We understand the relationship that those two things have together. The editing's fantastic. The composition's great. Overall, it's just a stellar image. And speaking of photo awards, my 2025 photo awards are now open. Entries close on the 14th of December. I'll put a link in the description on how to enter. Just a reminder that there's no prizes. It's just a way for our community to reflect on the year and celebrate all the amazing images that we were able to capture. And I hope you've found this video helpful. I wish I'd seen a video like this many years ago, because I really do enjoy these habitat style shots now. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. And again, I want to thank every single one of you for your support, and especially recently your understanding. I'm not able to create as many videos due to me being a full-time carer now. So I appreciate that very much. I look forward to seeing your images for the photo awards, and just get out there, enjoy yourself, and happy birding. So take care, and we'll see you in the next one.